Harvard can keep its international student body, at least for now. This is after a federal judge blocked the Trump administration's move to revoke the school's international student certification yesterday. That would have forced the school's foreign students to either transfer or lose their legal status entirely. The judge in this case sided with Harvard, saying this would cause, quote, immediate and irreparable injury, unquote, to the university. Here is how some students reacted to the Trump administration's decision.
Trump is using us right now as poker chips in a battle between the White House and Harvard. And really, I think it's just dehumanizing that we're being used in this way.
But this seems like really like an effort against everyone, against all of us, all Harvard International students, regardless of ideology, political affinity, and anything. Like it seems so arbitrary.
Now, the fight isn't yet over. The next hearing on this case will take place next week. Basil Smikle is back with us. First, I want to talk, however, to my colleague Antonia. Antonia, you spent the day yesterday at Harvard talking to some of these students. What were your takeaways?
Well, among the students, there is just this air, this mood of exhaustion and anxiety. While they're relieved that this judge that put this TRO in place, the reality is they are looking ahead to months, maybe years of legal limbo as this winds its way through the court system. And the scenarios they have to work out in their heads, as you can imagine, it's like if I go home to visit my mom on vacation back abroad, and then something changes, there's a new decision, and I'm flying back to take my exams, and I'm detained at the U.S. border, like we've seen happen to students over the last several months. What happens to my life? Say you are an incoming freshman this fall, and you are literally 17 or 18 years old, and you're faced with that prospect. So you're figuring out, okay, should I scramble this summer and find a whole new school to go to? Should I actually take a gap year and wait to see what Trump does in that gap year? I mean, those are real decisions very young people are going to have to make. Then there's a story about the administration right now, or the school administration, I mean. So President Alan Garber at Harvard, they are bringing on conservative attorneys who are basically trying to play 4D chess here to move down. Okay, Trump does this, we have these three options. He does that, then we're going to do this. I mean, they are preparing for a bruising existential battle that's not just about their own survival. I know it's very hard to take out your violin and feel really bad for Harvard, but it's about higher ed more broadly, and the reality that other schools aren't going to be able to put up this kind of fight.
I'm curious to get your thoughts, Antonia, about not just how disruptive this is for the lives of students, which it obviously is, but just what it disrupts in our entire society and our economy in terms of the people that have come to this country, have gone through the international school system, and then ultimately have found opportunities here, or have gone to be leaders in their own countries that are working to some extent based on what we've learned or what they've learned in this country.
Well, I mean, if you're just worried about the economy and money, international students in the U.S. represent billions of dollars of money coming into this country. And actually at schools like Harvard, but also beyond, they make it possible to give Americans financial aid. So students coming from Wisconsin and Hawaii who need financial aid to come to a school like Harvard, they're often able to do that because international students are typically paying top dollar to come to undergrad and graduate school programs there. They represent 27% of the student body at Harvard. So that is more than a quarter of the school that could disappear.
Wow.
So just in terms of the fabric of life there, the exchange of ideas, the debates, I mean, this is a campus where you're standing outside, like I was yesterday, you hear like 10 different languages in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would also add, Basil, that international, or rather educational services are one of our strongest exports in this country. For a president who is obsessed with bringing down trade deficits, we export more in educational services than we do in natural gas and coal combined. And higher ed has also been kind of or research institutions in general have been the engine of our economy, of innovation, of science, of research for many, many years. What do you think the broader impact is of these attacks on universities for the U.S. economy?
And we should note you're at Columbia, a school that's also in the crosshairs.
That's exactly right. I'm a professor at Columbia. And so you make a really good point. I want to sort of start from there. At the core of this, we have to remember that these are young people whose lives are now turned upside down. So in the conversations that I have with students, even before the inaugural, there were schools telling students if they were coming from abroad, you may want to come back before the inaugural because we don't know what's going to happen, if you come back and he's president and what changes may take place. There are about 1.1 million international students going to school in this country right now. 41% actually do stay in this country afterwards because they do want to stay. They do want to contribute because they do see opportunity here. And the ones that don't stay are always engaged in the sort of cross-cultural, cross-national conversations and trade and sort of intelligence gathering, right, from a research standpoint.
Although I want to add that this administration, or at least the nominee to lead USCIS, or one of our big immigration agencies, has said he wants to take away that optional and practical training, OPT, option for students after they graduate so that they can stay here and work for a little while they sort out other visas.
And to sort of to that point, let me just say this. If you go back to 1819, Supreme Court, Dartmouth, established the independence of universities and actually created the kind of philanthropic ecosystem that we actually use today. 1862, the Morrill Act created land-grant colleges, state colleges, and also helped establish HBCUs. After that, the GI Bill, affirmative action, Title IX, all of these things over the last 200 years to expand access to higher ed. And what's happening now? It's zooming in and taking all of that access away. And we talked about Harvard and I'm at Columbia, but if you also think about all of the other schools, like the HBCUs, that aren't already targets. Federal, I think Howard is the only federally chartered HBCU, or maybe it's the first. The administration threatened to take away $65 million from their budget. So it is not just those elite institutions, but one of the reasons that this happens is because, going to what I was saying before about disruptive politics, there is something about Donald Trump saying to his supporters, I'm going to go after these elites, and I'm going to take them down.
And they all went to the elite schools.
Exactly.
They all went to the elite schools, but also for this country, education has been such an extraordinary economic generator. For first-generation students, for the children of immigrants like me. I wouldn't be here without colleges and universities saying, hey, take a look at us. And all of that is being threatened.
One more institution that is under attack in this country. I'm sure it will not be the last. Basil Smikle, thank you so much for joining us. Greatly appreciate your insights as always.